Well, hello again, you're watching Brian Northmore Photography. It's my mission to inspire the photographic community by passing on my knowledge, passion and skills. I'm a photographic judge, lecturer and workshop leader based in southwest England. You can subscribe anytime, hit the watermark and don't forget to tick the bell icon for those important updates. And I love to reply to all your comments. So this week's video is all about photographing trees. I have different techniques I'm going to share with you. All of my photographs today are in monochrome, so just how do you get green trees to stand out in a green landscape? Using differential focus and a shallow depth of field to separate the trees from the background, well that's one way. And just why would you stitch two photographs into a square image? Well, I'm going to share the techniques I used on this shoot as I make the photographs. If you're struggling to get good photographs of trees that hit that sweet spot, keep watching. So I've been sat back at camp in the tent waiting for the weather to clear a little bit because I knew that it was going to get better today and dry up, and I wanted to come back to this area of Wasdale and photograph some of the trees against the landscape. There's some really quite interesting shapes and trees here which I found quite good, quite attractive, because there's some which are much higher than the rest of the fairly low scrubland all around it. And I thought it would make some good images. Now, it was my intention to sort of come out after it rained, and I wasn't expecting the sky to turn blue, but there is blue sky around, and to be honest, it's getting a little bit harsher and a little bit brighter than I'd expected, because what I actually wanted to do was I wanted to keep it very soft and very light and gentle, and I was going to use a bit of differential focus, blur the backgrounds out a little bit, and hopefully use that to create some quite nice soft gentle images. I think I may have left it just a little bit too late because, like I say, it's clearing up a bit more, but it's a good chance, I suppose, that some banks of clouds will roll back in before it starts raining again, and we'll get the opportunity to do some of those soft images. The scene behind me, where we've got the river sort of running past quite quickly because it's been raining, and the trees on my right hand side look quite good, overhanging the stream a little bit with the fells in the background. So I'm just going to take some pictures here of those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a slower shutter speed to get some movement in the water. I'm going to hopefully get it when there's not too much light on the trees, and if they are light then we'll get them on the trees and hopefully not on the fells. I'm going to use a bit of differential focus, so I'm going to focus on the trees and use maybe f4 or something like that, so the background is slightly indistinct and not quite as sharp as it could be, and that'll sort of add to the strength of the trees in the image themselves. So this image really is one of those that I sort of term as me just getting my eye in and sort of getting one in the bag so that I can relax into the process a bit more. The only thing is I may need to actually cross this stream at some point, and that's going to be about finding where and how I do that. I might even go back to the site, walk up the road and come from a different direction if it looks like that's necessary, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to set up and then see what I can do. I think I've already mentioned it in this series already. If I haven't, I probably will be again later anyway. But photography is very much a compromise. You can't control absolutely everything, and that's part of the challenge of it. With an artist doing a painting or something else, theirs is the art of addition. They start with nothing and add things into it. Whereas photography is the absolute opposite. It's the art of subtraction, where you start with a scene and then you decide what you're going to leave out of it. In this case, there's certain things that I can't leave out that I would like to, and there's nothing I can do about that. Absolutely nothing at all. I just can't get it right. I can't get the position right, or I can't do what I was going to do. This was going to be a square image. It was going to be done as a panoramic, but two halves of the picture to use the focal length that I want, and then cropped into square. But it doesn't work there's too much separation and distance between some interest on the right hand side and the tree on the left, and it brings too much of the foreground in, and it just detracts from the main subject, which is this tree up here. So I've decided to do it probably as a 16:9 format, and I've come away from my original position and come up somewhere a bit higher just so I can lift the camera up a bit, and that allows me to zoom in without chopping the top of the tree off. So we've got on the camera, we've got the 0.9 ND, the 6-stop ND, and the polarizing filter. The polarizing filter is just being adjusted, if I look at it, just to take the sheen off the water, not to completely destroy it, but just to take it off slightly. And that's giving me 3.2 seconds at f4. Now what I want to do, I'm going to experiment a little bit with the focusing position and pick which one works best really. So I'm going to take a couple. I'm not going to push the exposure too hard. In fact, I'm going to go for 2.5 seconds at f4. That way I should get everything in. The tree's just in the top of the frame, but actually now I've looked at it, you know, it just needs that little bit of adjustment. It just needs to come up just a fraction, because otherwise the tree would be too close to the top of the picture, and that won't work. Okay, so then I've got a bit of a diagonal between the dead tree on the right hand side and the tree on the left. Double check it, exposure's the same, focus. So what are we at? We're at 70 mil, 2.5 seconds, f4, 6-stop ND, 0.9 ND with 3-stop, polarizing filter, ISO 100. There, nailed it. It's good. It's ironic that I've spent most of this trip wishing the weather was better, but typically when I don't want sunshine it makes an appearance. These photographs need a little flat soft light, even some haze in the background to help the subject stand out. Bright colours, high contrast, deep shadows are not on the menu today. So I returned to camp to wait out the good weather, hoping for a little cloud diffusion and maybe drizzle. I got a little bit more than I bargained for. Okay, so I'm not getting a huge amount of opportunity to vlog and explain what I'm doing quite so much, because the rain is intermittent, and when it's raining it's quite heavy and the light's changing all the time, so I'm kind of reacting to things as I go. But I've just shot a couple of scenes behind me. There's two trees there that I particularly like, and they've got quite a nice sort of like feel to both of them. So I've tried to do like a square stitched image. And I've also, I've also done a slight panoramic of it, which is a stitched image, and I've also done a couple of squares as well, just to see how those work out. So it's just starting to slip the rain again. I'm going to have to keep moving. I'm going to move across this next stream. Ruby's getting a bit upset now, which is a bit wet, but there you go. And then we'll see what we can do in a minute. So I've just come across this scene here where you've got this young, well, it doesn't look young actually looking at the trunk, but this small tree with these quite big trees in the background. I wish I knew all the names of them. But basically I think it looks quite nice. I like the way we've got this sort of like path and this lead in this bit of greenery to the front of it. The only thing is, of course, as a background everything's very, very green, so obviously I'm going to have to try and hopefully hope that my f4 setting, and what I'm shooting at on the lens is going to throw it enough out of focus. I've set the camera up to actually take a two-shot stitch in a square format, and the reason I've done that is because if I turn it vertical I can zoom much further in and use a longer focal length. So I'm shooting at really around 280 mil, and by doing that I should even throw the back out even more, because I've only got f4 to work with on my lens. So I'm going to take two pictures. They'll overlap each other obviously, so I can get the stitch, and then in Photoshop we'll stitch them together and then crop it into a square format. So we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, first of all, sort of like apologise if you can't hear this. There's quite a lot of wind noise around, so I won't be surprised if you're struggling. Also, I haven't got my second tripod with me, so some of the footage has probably been a little bit shaky. That's mainly because of how bad the weather was and the fact that I wanted to move quite quick. So I've stopped pretty much on this path where I'd originally seen these trees and realised that there's quite a bit of potential with them, and I've stopped to take an image. I'm just going to spin the camera around a minute. Hopefully you can see past me. You can probably see right past me now. So yeah, so the scene behind me is obviously very contrasting, very bright, and I sort of imagine you're going to struggle to see it on the screen. But basically, the idea was to shoot the clump of trees in the middle of the frame, and sorry, clump, it's not really a good technical term, is it? Grouping of trees that are in the middle of that frame, and have the fells stretching off into the distance. But I wanted the fells fairly light or dark so that the trees stand out. And I'm also shooting at about f4.5, f5.6, so that the background is quite soft. You'll still be able to see what it is, but it will be quite soft and not as distinct as the trees. Now the problem is because of the contrast range, I've had to put a Lee graduated filter on there, and I've only got hard grads, so unfortunately I'm not overly pleased with what's happening. So I've taken some with and some without, and we'll try and we'll see what happens. So I might play a bit more, I might vary the composition a little bit, try a few different variations of it, and then we'll move on hopefully to another composition as well. So I'm trying to decide if I should do another editing video on one or more of the photographs in this video. If you have a favourite and would like to see an editing video, then comment. In fact, comment anything you want. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Help me out and subscribe. Don't forget the bell icon, give a thumbs up or down. Most of all, enjoy your photography, stay safe, and I'm going to see you next time.